parfait.
Oui,
Merci
on part.
beaucoup.
On part.
Et on a déjà les personnes en
Hello,
ligne.
everyone.
Bienvenue à
Well,
tous.
thank you for being here. We'll just
On
wait
va
for a couple of
attendre
minutes
juste
for more people
une
to come
minute pour
through.
démarrer parce qu'il y a encore des personnes qui
Now
entrent
we
dans la salle.
have
Alors, maintenant, on a
hello, everyone.
tous les
Bonjour
participants.
Natalia, bonjour Naïma,
Welcome.
bonjour Tijbore.
Bonjour.
Hello, everyone. Today we
Bienvenue.
have the
Merci.
pleasure of
Bonjour à
holding
tous.
our
Aujourd'hui, on
microfinance,
a
sustainable
le
microfinance in
plaisir d'avoir
Morocco
les
under
webinaires
the series of
internationaux au Maroc.
webinars with
Alors,
SANAD,
c'est les webinaires
which is
organisés
organized
par SANAD,
by
la Société
Hedera
Sociale
Sustainable
Techno-Professionnelle,
Solutions,
et
my company,
organisés
in coordination and
par
partnership
Hedera
with the
Sustainable Solutions,
Centre Mohamed
en
VI de
exercice
soutien
en
à la
coordination partenariat
microfinance
avec
solidaire.
le Centre
We
Mohamed
have
VI de soutien à
our
la
media
microfinance
partner
solidaire.
with us,
On
and
a
we thank you for
notre
your
partenaire
participation
média, le
also,
Hôtel
and
Fulbert.
our
On remercie
speakers
votre
today to
participation
present
et
and
c'est
discuss the
un très
development
bon
of
registre qu'on a
green
aujourd'hui
inclusive
pour
finance,
peut-être
microfinance in
discuter
Morocco.
le développement de la finance verte inclusive au Maroc.
Today, we have some important information to
Alors,
share with you. We have
aujourd'hui, on a
interpretation
des
which is
informations
offered
importantes.
in French and
On
Arabic,
a
and you can click
des
on the language that
interprétations
you
et
wish to
offertes en
listen to.
français et en
We
arabe.
also have
Vous pouvez cliquer sur
a
la langue que vous souhaitez pour
presentation
écouter.
in
On a aussi une
English.
présentation
For
de
those
SANAD
who
en
need
anglais.
the
Alors, pour les personnes
interpretation,
qui ont besoin
please
de
click the link to listen to
l'interprétation,
French or
vous
Arabic.
pouvez cliquer
And also for the
sur
speakers, if
français
you
et
could
arabe.
please mute yourself
Et aussi,
unless you are
pour
speaking.
les intervenants, voulez-vous mettre en mute,
I don't
sauf si
think
vous
we
avez
will have,
besoin
so that we don't have
de
any
ce
issues with
soit,
sound. We also
on va avoir pas
invite
de
you to
problème
ask your
avec le son.
questions
Une
during
invitation
the
aussi
workshop
pour
and
poser vos questions.
before
Tout à
to
long de
select
l'atelier,
all
sélectionnez
everyone before you
donc
send
envoyez
your
votre question et
questions,
on va
and then
discuter
if you would
par
like, you
les
can
questions
also ask your
documentées avec aussi
questions
des vidéos
orally
démonstration si vous
at the end
voulez
of the
à la
presentation.
fin de la
Today,
présentation.
our host for the webinar,
Aujourd'hui,
we
on a
have Mrs.
des
Naima
codes
Said,
pour des
who
webinaires.
is the
On a
director of
Madame
the
Naima
Center
Saïd,
Mohamed
directrice du Centre
VI
Mohamed VI
de
soutien à la
soutien à la
microfinance
microfinance
solidaire.
solidaire,
Et
and
aussi
also
Madame
Mrs.
Esmahal,
Khadija
aussi
Hatali,
du Centre Mohamed VI.
head of the training department at the Center Mohamed
Aussi
VI de
pour
soutien à la
les
microfinance. And also from
présenter,
SANAD,
on
we
a de
have
SANAD
Mrs. Almudena Marquez, and I am myself your
Almudena
moderator,
Marquez, que c'est avec
Natalia
nous. Et je
Carillo.
suis votre
Our panelists
modératrice
will be
Natalia
Mr. Zacharias Jebouri, General
Les
Director
panélistes
at
sont
Damon
Monsieur Zakaria
Microfinance,
Jebouri,
Mr. Hamoum
Damon
Mustaine,
Microfinance,
General
directeur,
Director from Bev
Monsieur
Rizq
Hamou
Jamil, and Mr.
Moussein
Pierre Champsavoir, co-founder at Happy Smala.
et aussi Monsieur Pierre
With this
Champsavoir,
presentation, we
cofondateur de
will
Happy
have
Smala.
for each organization a small
Avec cette
presentation,
présentation,
and then
on va voir
after the presentations from the panelists
et après
on
les
the work
présentations
on
aussi des
green
panélistes sur
microfinance, and followed by
des
discussion with
travaux
all
sur la
participants.
microfinance verte.
We
Et
will
finalement, une discussion
have
plus
the
conclusive.
first we'll start with the
On va voir
presentation with SANAD
l'ouverture, la
by
présentation de
Almudena
SANAD,
Marquez.
Technical Assistance Facility, la facilité
Welcome,
d'assistance technique
Almudena.
par
And
Almudena
let me share
Marquez.
my screen now.
Bienvenue Almudena. Et
Hello,
partagez
everyone.
votre
And
écran.
from me, I'll do very
So, hi, everyone. So from my side, I'll just do a very quick introduction in English. So on behalf of the SANA Technical Assistance Facility, we welcome you all to this webinar on sustainable microfinance in Morocco. That is part of a series of sustainable microfinance in the MENA region, and we're very excited about. So just very briefly, the SANAD Fund is a fund that invests in micro small enterprises in the Middle East and Sub-Saharan Africa with the goal to foster job creation in the region. For the SANA Technical Assistance Facility, we work closely with partners to conduct capacity building projects to help foster capacity to better serve entrepreneurs. And sometimes projects also work directly with the entrepreneurs themselves. Natalia, if you could go to the next slide and the one after that. Thank you. So in terms of the areas that we work in, we have 4 focal impact areas, which are sustainability, female empowerment, agricultural finance, and digitalization. So this project, of course, falls under our work on sustainability, which is aimed at promoting sustainable financial practices. So if we can go to the next slide. So under that, under our sustainability work, we have created a sustainability program, which has the aim to support partners to mitigate and adapt to the effects of climate change, while also delivering economic value and growth. So this is, of course, then one of the main areas of work for the next couple of years. Under this program, and if we can go to the next slide, we have 4 different areas that we identified as most important in the work on sustainability for financial institutions, which is sustainable agriculture, climate risk management, sustainability strategies to drive the concept within institutions for in the long term, and as well as ESMS and ESG monitoring and compliance, which is of increasing importance and has gained a lot of importance also coming from a regulator side in many, many countries. So these are the 4 areas that we work on our sustainability program. If you have any questions on this, you can address them to me. I'm happy also to discuss after the webinar, so please feel free to reach out to us. And with that, then I'll give it back to you, Natalia, to continue the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Almudena. And now we will continue with the presentation from Centre Mohamed VI.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry for holding everyone back. Some technical issues. I'm going to be very brief about this presentation. I'll talk about some of our activities, and then my Hantali will continue the presentation. So, the Center Mohammed VI was established on the 8th of November 2007, and the launch of the 10th National Solidarity Campaign by royal instructions. It is an NGO of public utility, public service. Its aim is to train of the staff of micro loans associations and their clients, support for the marketing of micro loan beneficiaries products, and of course the implementation of the National Observatory for Microfinance. Here you have some pictures of the activities, the trainings, and some exhibitions. This center is organized around 3 poles and 2 departments. So we have the Skills Support Hub, the Business Development and Promotion Department, and we also have the Microfinance Observatory, and the 2 departments, which are the communication and administration and finance and logistics. Here we have a picture of the national prize that was held last year, and we will be able to talk about this further. So, and in terms of support, the Center Mohammed VI organizes a series of trade fairs for our clients so that they can have more clients and achieve better turnover, which would allows them to have better solvency and have better development. So I'll start with the first prize, which is the first activity, which is the national prize. And in terms of national prize, we have several categories. One of the categories is the innovation category. If we would like to stick to the subject of the webinar, it's much more on these three specific categories, which are human development, responsible tourism, and green economy. These are prizes that are located to three candidates for their participation in the sustainable economy, in particular through the development of their surrounding, their ecosystem, sharing of know-how, innovation, whether it is in terms of product or processes. Responsible tourism today, we develop more and more. We encourage responsible tourism, particular as some regions in Morocco are adapted to such activity. And also we have a green economy category here, which allows to boost the activity of some entrepreneurs who are starting in sustainable development. We also have regional meetings, and we encourage further people who work in green economy and sustainable economy, in particular for recycling. So this is the national prize that was awarded to 26 people and there were 9 prizes in relation to green economy and sustainable economy. The rest, please. Before we move on to training, Mrs. Hantali will talk to you a bit about the training, in particular, all the training held organized by the center, in particular around the green economy with some partners. But first, I would like to give you an overview of the microfinance sector in Morocco. So by the end of August, we had about 823,000 clients with the $903 million of stocks. 35% of the clients are in rural areas, and all these clients are served by about 1,576 branches throughout Morocco with 120 mobile windows um, supported by 3 associations. So this is for the brief overview. I don't want to give more details because this is not the subject today, and I give now the floor back to Natalia. This is a picture from a training that was held north of Morocco. It was like a team building session organized by as a training for the exhibition holders or exhibitors, the participants to the exhibition in North Morocco in Tief.
Merci beaucoup, Madame
Thank you very much, Mrs. Madame Sahil. We also welcome Mrs. Hadisha Al-Hantali. Hello. Thank you, Dara. Thank you, Natalia, for providing us with this the opportunity to be part of this panel and the series of webinar on sustainable development and green finance as presented by Mrs. Sahil. Indeed, the Center Mohammed VI is is a must it's an essential element for development of re- competencies for staff from the microfinance associations, because in Morocco we don't have institutions for microfinance till this day, but we only have NGOs who work on microfinance. This is a bit of a special legal framework, meaning that they can provide loans, but they cannot collect funds. So the center was established as presented by Mrs. Saili in 2007, and it aims to train and reinforce competencies and maintain competencies and skills for the staff of the NGOs, but also the micro entrepreneurs and all categories, meaning young people, women, with a specific orientation for women, of course, and they have benefited from specific support, and they have always been part of our different programs to support and training. So the subjects of trainings, first we'll start with the first training engineering to develop in specific training plans for whether it's about inclusive economy, sustainable development, and also what we call specific cross-cutting subjects, meaning subjects that can that are part of soft skills, or whether it's finance, accounting, office management. For microfinance, we work specifically on entrepreneurship, etc. And we have several categories of trainings, meaning we have continued training, which allows the development of competencies during the work, whether it is for entrepreneurs and also for staff. And we have certified training where we actually have a master's degree in partnership with Hassan II University. It's a master's degree in microfinance experts. It's it's a program that also we're doing like certified training with the Banking Association in Paris, which is the SFPTF, and it's for the professionalization of loan agents and for managers of associations for micro loans. We are also taking part in many programs on entrepreneurship and sustainable development, and this is the subject of our participation today, which is the promotion of entrepreneurship, of course, but also female entrepreneurship, and mostly sustainable. I don't think we have time to talk about everything in detail, so we'll skip this part and talk about our program, training program, targets the population I mentioned, but also micro entrepreneurs. And of course, the first pillar that I call of it's the financial education, meaning to do basic training and train in management, whatever the importance of the activity, whether it's microfinance, micro enterprise or mono enterprise. And so entrepreneurship, we're starting with financial education, and then we will move on to entrepreneurship, whether it is the soft skills, personal development, and the mindset and entrepreneurial spirit, and also the elaboration of business plan, doing a pitch and being able to do advocacy for their own product or project with an audience to receive a loan or a grant or whatever. For the empowerment of rural women, This is the subject of the hour, and we had the opportunity to sign with an important bank, which is the EIB, and this program runs till 2026. And we had the opportunity to do trainings for rural women in different areas in Morocco. If you could move the presentation, please. Go back, please. Here you go. So we did a training, a cycle for on entrepreneurship and financial education. And during this training, we we insisted a lot on rural development and the importance of using materials and products that are eco-friendly. For example, natural dye based on plants instead of chemical products, chemical dyes for textiles, green or natural fertilizers to use solar energy instead of coal. Are we going to speak about green finance here? Because we have very little time here. So we move on to green finance. Of course, Morocco. Morocco is is part of a large project since 2008. I'm not going to give you a definition of green finance. You know more about this and why we insist on green finance. So if you could move to the next slides, please. So Morocco had really to be part of the strategy, and since the authorities since 2008 have put in place what we call Green Morocco Plan, and the target is to have economic efficiency, social equity, and preservation of natural resources. This was the philosophy which was at the behind this large projects in 2008. So it's the first natural agricultural strategy deployed in the kingdom, and it put the intensification of production investments at the heart of the plan, but always in compliance with sustainable development. You have the link here if you would like to know more about the strategy of Morocco for sustainable development. So let's say that after her, the results are very important. There is an increase in investment, increase in production, and value chains in the different sectors, and improved living conditions for farmers. Try to be brief. For green finance, as explained by Mrs. Hill, as a support institution for microfinance in Morocco and inclusive economy, we have two prizes that are dedicated to environment protection. You have here two pictures of a lady who won last year the prize for sustainable development. This is a lady who makes pottery, traditional pottery, cooking utensils. You see even the oven, there is nothing electrical or technical, whatever. It's everything is just natural and everything is done manually. So the center put in place a cycle for training and development for green finance to support the sector. And if you like, if you want to put in place a training cycle to enable or facilitators and to enable the sector to have the necessary competencies and knowledge to support their population and support them. So the training, if we may say, it's It has three main dimensions: strategy, risk, and opportunity. So training with the participation of the interest of the main Moroccan microfinance associations, which have a future project, the implementation of a green strategy. For example, MENA, Tawfiq Microfinance, Tadam Microfinance, and RD Microfinance. And it's actually part of Crédit Agricole Morocco, and they are part of the plan that I mentioned, meaning the Green Morocco plan. So this gives you an idea here to summarize the dimension of our facilitator, our consultant has put in place with participants. The project aim was done in partnership with Shaida, which is our national donor, and microfinance ISA, who are that you know very well, and they allowed us to make this project, bring it to light. So I think I exceeded my time. I think I tried to move quickly, but I am available for any questions you may have. This is just a table to summarize the three seminars that ran over 6 days. We could not keep the for a staff from the microfinance NGOs for longer. The first seminar worked on introduction of microfinance, green microfinance, and environmental performance in microfinance. Second seminar, environmental risks in microfinance and environmental impact. And the last seminar was inclusive green services and how to put in place an environmental strategy and policy. The center has taken part in the different webinars organized by the lab dedicated to compliance with the sustainable development objectives. And the center also has among its staff people who are certified by the STPF and Smart Campaign. And you know, now we are working on 7 dimensions specifically about the respecting the environment and the clients. I hope I was quick. I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Non, merci beaucoup, Madame El Khantali, merci, Khadija, et aussi Madame Saïl, merci pour
Thank you
participer
for
à
sharing your work. We have discussed together also that in Morocco there are, the advanced developments and there are trainings and there's and a work and a framework for this. And so for us, it's interesting to just know what you're offering and also what could we work more with the microfinance associations today, like each one of our webinars, where I'm going to share with you the results of the study that we carried out last year on the sustainable microfinance. And today what we have to show the results for Morocco. So the study was funded by the Senate Technical Assistance, study, and it's available here in this file. We have received a participation of over 40 microfinance institutions in the region, and today we're going to see the results of the institutions, microfinance institutions. So on this, in Morocco. So for this assessment, we had used a measure, a framework that we developed in-house within EDER. It's called the Green Microfinance penetration index, which aims to identify the implementation of green finance and inclusive microfinance in a specific field, and also to assess the environment that was developed in which the green finance was developed in the country. So we have, we have indicators for this. It's the enabling environment and the offer available, what the associations for microfinance offer in the countries. So for the first dimension, we have various indicators of what's demand, what's the regulation, the partners for this that we have in the country. And we also we have four categories of evaluation. So for Morocco, with the institutions, we have seen the high results, but also an expression also that there's more work to be carried out still in the field of creation and development of demand. So if we're going to look at the results for Morocco and compare this and see the results in the region, we have an enabling and favorable environment for the development of inclusive microfinance in the country. And the second one, oh, is for the environmental strategies and also the management of risks. The indicators have for this, the aspiration of this, the mission, the vision of these associations for this, what are the reports for risk management for this, and there is a risk management level of clients, and we have four levels of assessment, from basic to advanced. For Morocco, we found this result that the hot implementation and this, and so for three institutions and different also, and also in the region, the scoring for Morocco is it's better than in other countries. And so finally, in the other dimension and the offers dimension, we have financial and non-financial services. The Mohammed VI Center for Finance Support Finance, works does trainings on financial services. This was their last training, and here we're gonna have assess what are the products. The scope of these financial this. After financial and technical assistance and partnership for clients, and what is the level of non-financial services. The result is that we have institutions that have already have such products. This is a study that is done in 2022, so maybe the last institution that have plans to develop such products, but as of last year, it has not been done. And in the region, we see that the scoring for the offer is concentrated on renewable energies or household, household targets for small and medium enterprises. Not very sustainable, but we see there are plans by these institutions. So as for results, we're going to see now that the results for the three dimensions, we're going to start with the green strategy. And here we're going to see we have, the strategic plans for the context of this and for climate resilience. So it's these associations have one person or committee in charge of managing all environment related issues. And is there any green finance within the institution? There are no public reports on the institutions, but there are 45% of institutions that are planning to, excuse me, 60%. of the microfinance associations that plan to do so. So for the activities, regarding risk management, for client risk management, we see that there are three activities to institutions, for a number of clients. So we that aim to reduce or mitigate or limit impact on the environment. And we offer services to respond to environmental shocks, and we support our clients in the development of practices that or products that are green. So it's the same number of companies that are planning to do so in the future. As for activities linked to risk management for the clients, and for this, we have the results that we have here, institutions that we help our clients to develop companies that promote products or services that are environmentally friendly, and we also promote practices that can mitigate or limit our impacts on the environment. And we also offer the such practices look for this is the lack. What blocks this is a lack of knowledge of this, but it's very small numbers here. So it's only two microfinance associations that share this type of result. So regarding over the we have for this green products, so we have the production green products. So for environmental emergencies, management of the soil management of cattle, and water management with no financial products for sustainable green agriculture, and for households and companies, our clients, corporate clients, we see, measures for to measure for, energy efficiency for renewable energies, and only one institution that does not offer any such products. On the stakeholders that can support that may support you for the development of inclusive green finance. We have respondents are investors, consultants, NGOs, governmental agencies, regulators, and government and also the characteristics of the green offers for this is to institutions have lines of credit for investors. Two institutions give credit conditions for green products for institutions, and finally two institutions also have alliances with other actors to offer or provide green products as a last result, and to share also and see the difference of results in the region. So the tools, the knowledge on environmental performance management, all institutions, 80% know the standards for this that we have uh, for social and environmental performance, and is only 20% do not know any the green index or any other listed tool. And this changed this year since we have had trainings and implementation of such tools. With these results, it was my pleasure, and thank you very much. And we shall go. We're gonna see go to the presentation for this. I don't know. So if you have any questions on the results here, you can ask them in the chat, and we can discuss them after the presentations. Thank you. Mr. Zachariah Jabouri, thank you, Natalia, and thank you. You're welcome. And thanks to the Hydra team for this work that will allow us to better understand the situation of our ecosystem. And thanks to our partners for this, for their support at the level of training, and our partners and this technical assistance. So for the case of this, So we have gonna have a short presentation on the terms of green microfinance and social finance. So this at the down is a non-for-profit organization created in '94 with a number of branches for this, for with the total outstanding of 100 million Moroccan dinars, and with a series of conventional and non-conventional products for agriculture. Our vision and generally our mission is to support micro entrepreneurs who are geographically and financially excluded from the conventional banking and financial and non-financial products that meet their needs. So since 2023, we have adopted. So we have adopted a new strategy that goes from 2023 to 2023 regarding the human capital. We have tried to anchor the environmental aspect in the mission for, the microfinance. So we had a lot of funding for organic products and animal farming. But since 2023, we have decided to anchor this social aspect of the mission for Tadam Microfinance. So starting from this vision that was, shared with our board of directors, we have drafted a strategic plan. So what of this summit, we have included the development of products for the financing of green solutions as a strategic objective of Tadam Microfinance, similar to the other for movement of capital, the human capital. So this was more or less the mission or the vision, the target of products and for green solutions, and to promote a little bit, products and services in such a way that it can be in balance with the green and environmental issues and for our clients. So it was a new dimension for Tadam Microfinance on its strategy, so which involved a lot of improvement at the level of the process and at the organizational level and training. We have now, a very, strong partner such as the Mohammed V Center, and the creation of this and the search for, the solutions or IT solutions that can help us to pilot this new risks for this. So with a vision of development of green products since 2023, we have identified a certain number of products that which represents 1%. So from to go with a target of 10% by 2025. Same thing for, tree farming and cattle, farming for this. We are hoping to reach, this is about 30 million dirhams of financing of green products by 2025. All this requires an intervention framework, for this for environmental, because as you know, most products with an agricultural nature are linked to climate change or climate crisis, with all the climate and environmental risks, and these are systemic risks that are in correlation with the work of the association. So we had first to set up the indicators for intervention and objectives, and a final goal of this intervention, while putting in place a strong management framework that will allow us to better manage these products. So the final objective was to reduce the the carbon footprint, not only for products, but also for the whole ecosystem, and an environmental resilience for the clients, and for Tadam Microfinance, the promotion and the efficient use of resources, and the proposals of inclusive green services. But to succeed in this mission, we needed to do a diagnostic. On the basis of this diagnostic, we are going to understand our strengths and weaknesses. So regarding this new field of activity, this is a project we carried out with our partner, with SANED assistance, technical assistance. In addition, we have drawn a map of the risks of this, but the most importantly is that we diagnosed our strengths and weaknesses in terms of in agriculture or green finance, because it's a new activity for Tadam Microfinance, and we need to understand this well and manage it well. Amongst our strengths is a strong commitment towards the themes. So it's sponsored by the board of directors. And so we have also experiences in training on organic agro farming, because we have many partners for organic products for this so we have the personnel within a Tadam and Microfinance. We have an ecological transition plan that has been validated and prepared. And in addition, we have a department for social and environmental performance on this ecological and social measures, with an important presence in the rural areas. On the other hand, our weaknesses, which are the same as for most Moroccan, MFIs. So this is the lack of a management policy for performance, and to need to be formalized. We are working on this in the framework on the SNAP project. But we're doing this on the Green Index 3.0. We also lack in a policy for risk management linked to climate changes and environment, that needs to be implemented. And I think this is the same problem for all MFIs. When we talk about risk management, we are more used to very conventional, risk management for MFIs, which covers credit risks and operational risks and other risks. Now we're facing an important risk, which is climate change, and the risks of solutions that will bring to answer the client's needs, because each solution is a source of risk, and for this as well, we need to set up a very good policy for management. And then after we have gotten to a new approach, and this is within this new project, with our partners, ICB, was to adopt the MEBA approach to the local reality of Morocco, and specifically to the strategy processes and products of a Tadawun and its target clients. It's not a copy paste, but it's more customized based on the realities of our field, and the work we do, and the meetings. And plus more involvement by the clients. Is for the MEBA approach, it's a tool that allows to work on the cross-cutting, field for this that is well beyond the technical, this, and it covers the value chain. So to go beyond just the commercial, thought of this on the products, that can touch on all the ecosystems. So this is going to allow the institution to verify that it is capable to finance, and giving them the tools to carry out a reporting. This, of one part to integrate climate risks. These are 2 points. This is a point that responds to the improvement points that were noted in the diagnostic carried out in within the framework for this. Mr. Zachary, if you could speak higher and not so fast, we do have interpretation, And it's a lot of information, but we would like everyone here, all the participants can follow, what is being said, what the discussion is. So if we're gonna see the results and more, information on the MEBA project or approach, and so if you could speak louder and not as fast. So the strong elements here that came out of the MEBA project with all the partners that you can see here, as you see on the slide on the left of your screen. And I would like to thank all of them for the work carried out. First of all, we need to draft mapping of the existing transitions, because when we decided to go to the social and ecological transition, we needed to draft this diagnostic of threats and opportunities. But luckily, unluckily, maybe coincided with the times of draft and drought, and strong climate change. And we can see this. You can see here a strong concentration of intensity and frequency, and so for this, some threats on the institution in terms of and the terms of sudden change of temperature, strong rainfall and wind, etc. You can see here the impact of the climate change on a microfinance institutions that finance agricultural products. So afterwards, we had studied still the impact at the level of the institutions. There's a strong probability here and intensity of loss of productivity that droughts can cause of up to 87%. So more than 85%. So it's still a high level of risk here with a direct impact on financial performance of the microfinance institutions. And now, if I'm saying this, and we didn't give up on this with this. It's to say, if we can identify the problem, we can identify the gaps, that we will be better able to manage these. So currently, climate change is reality for us. We cannot do this without taking this into consideration. So, and these variables that just do not just affect the agricultural products, it impacts all the ecosystem. So, as we said, it's a consequence, a direct consequence, because these are systemic risks. We have noticed that they have direct consequences, especially on the reduction of the turnover on the net to banking products and the cost increase of the credit risks, because these are risks that can often turn into credit risks. But luckily, it's not all the agricultural products are financed that are affected by strong stability to this afterwards in the so it's a source of risk, but also there's a set of opportunities for IMF FMIs that can manage this transition. By the balancing the ecosystem towards agriculture that are more adapted to solutions that are adapted to climate change. So now we're talking about the climate vulnerability. It's generally, as we said, it's centralized in the various blocks, but at the level of Morocco, it's centralized. It's around centered around drought, and then on paradox with the strong rainfall in other regions. So this was our first assessment that we carried out for our ecosystem, but still we needed to do, an assessment of a Tadam microfinance to see did it meet the needs, requirements of grain microfinance in the framework of its strategy and its mission, social mission. So with our partners, an assessment was carried out according to the Green Index 3.0 standards. It's one of the main indexes used to assess these, including for microfinance institutions. And in terms of inclusive microfinance, and to do this with the four dimensions, the environmental dimensions of the environmental strategy, the risks and opportunities, environmental management, and value chains and supply chains.
Mhm. Merci beaucoup pour cette présentation.
Thank you
Pour
very much
montrer
for
les
this
travaux
presentation and for showing the
vous
work
faites
that you are
dans
doing
à
at Tadamun,
mais pour
and
comprendre
we
aussi un
are
peu
happy also
l'appui
for
de
to
soutenir
support
votre
to be
travail
supporting your work,
aussi faire
and
l'approbation de
also
Green
to
Index
do
3.0 et
the
voir aussi le
Green Index
développement de votre
3.0
stratégie
and see
environnementale.
your green
Alors,
strategy.
avec
So with
cette
this
présentation, on va
presentation, we shall
continuer
continue now with the
avec la
presentation of
présentation de
Mr.
Monsieur Pierre
Pierre
Chamsavoie
Chamsavoie
de Happy Smala,
from Happy Smala,
cofondateur
who's the
de Happy Smala.
co-founder of
On
Happy
va voir
Smala, and
des
we'll
innovations
see
pour
what
la
are
finance
the
verte au Maroc.
innovations of
Alors, on a vu
green finance
l'expérience
in
de
Morocco. We
l'institution
saw
Microfinance.
the
Alors,
microfinance
on voudrait
institutions,
savoir qu'est-ce qui se
and would
passe
like to
sur
see what
les
happens
secteurs
in terms of
d'investissement.
investments. Mr.
Monsieur
Pierre.
Pierre,
Merci.
Thank
bienvenue.
you. Thank you,
Bonjour à
Natalia. Thank you,
tous.
everyone. Hello, everyone. I
Je
am
vais
going to
vous présenter
present
un
a
peu
bit the
les
activities of
activités
Happy
Smala et
Smala and the
les
learnings
apprentissages que
we
nous
have
avons eus ces
had
10
over the
dernières années en
last 10
travaillant
years
sur les
working
sujets
on economic inclusion
socio-économiques et
subjects and
de
on
développement
the
du secteur
development of the
financier.
financial sector.
Peut-être
Maybe
d'abord
I
une
should
première
start
petite
with a few
information pour ceux qui ne
information
connaissent
for
pas
those
Happy
who
Smala.
do
Happy
not know
Smala,
Happy
c'est un
Smala.
app d'innovation
It's
et
an
d'inclusion
app
économique
for
du Rabat, basé
financial
à Rabat,
inclusion in
qui existe
Rabat.
depuis
It
2014 et
exists
qui
since
travaille
2014. It
avec une
works with a
équipe
team of
d'une
about 12
personne
people
et un
and
réseau
a network
déployé
of
sur
over the
une
whole
vingtaine
country and
d'entreprises
the
africaines.
whole African continent, actually. Our main
Nos principales
axes
axes
for
de
work
travail sont
are
l'étude et
the
la conception de
study
programmes
and
liés à l'inclusion
of
financière,
inclusion,
à
financial inclusion
l'entrepreneuriat, à
projects,
l'innovation dans les
the
secteurs
inclusion in
société civile
social,
et le secteur public.
civil
Je voudrais
society
récemment
projects and
organiser
civil
des programmes
society,
avec les
working
institutions
on
marocaines,
projects with
les institutions étatiques.
Moroccan
La mise en œuvre et
institutions, public
le
government
renforcement et
institutions,
l'adaptation
working also
de
on
ces programmes. Donc,
adaptation
on
and
intervient aussi
implementation.
sur
We also
l'accompagnement
do,
des
we
institutions de
provide
microfinance,
support to
l'accompagnement des
microfinance
partenaires
institutions.
économiques
We
sur le
support
terrain.
economic actors on the field.
Récemment, on a
Recently,
travaillé, par
we
exemple,
worked, for
avec
example, with
le
the
ministère de
Ministry of
l'économie et des
Economy and
Finances
Finance
sur
on the
l'opérationnalisation de
operationalization,
la stratégie
the
nationale de
implementation of
microfinance. Donc,
these
c'est bien puisqu'elle
green,
suit les
these
décisions
economic
du
strategy
royaume
for the kingdom,
sur
and
le
this
développement de la
serves
microfinance.
as an
Et je partagerai
orientation for economic
quelques
choices,
retours
and I'll give you some
sur ce
feedback
point-là.
about this too. And
Et
of
on
course, we
travaille
also
sur
work on
des
subjects
thématiques
such as
de suivi
monitoring and
des
evaluation of
projets,
projects and
de mesure de la redevabilité
accountability measuring
sur des
and
programmes
national programs
nationaux
or
ou
local
locaux
programs
sur,
with
avec
different
divers
partners.
partenaires. Slide suivant, s'il vous plaît.
I
Je
would
voudrais
like today to
aujourd'hui
share with
partager avec
you
vous
three
trois
experiences
expériences
that we
que nous
have
avons
achieved
réalisées
over
ces
the
derniers temps
past
et qui ont
years
toutes
and which have all
un
linked,
lien avec
or
qui
they're
ont toutes
all
une
linked
potentialité de
between
porter
themselves,
de l'origine
even though they were
et
not to
avec
begin with.
la finance
They're
verte, le
all
développement de la
linked
finance
to
verte et
green
je dirais de par
economy,
notre
and
expertise et
because
notre
of our
expertise, le
expertise,
développement de la
it's
microfinance
linked to
durable, la
green
microfinance verte.
microfinance, sustainable
Et à
microfinance, and we
travers
will
ce qu'elle
see what
recouvre,
this means The first subject I'll talk about, and we'll see this, which is the climate listening tour, which we did in the country, and which was, Pierre, please, if you could slow down, please. We have interpreters, and we need to take that into consideration, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pas de souci, pas de souci.
We still have time for your presentation, so and also for the following speaker.
Parfait. Si on a du temps, tout va bien. Donc,
For the climate listening tour,
nous
we have
avions
applied the
appliqué une
methodology
méthodologie
for on the field with a target. The target was to
d'aller
go
à
to
la
meet
rencontre
the
des
population, the most
plus
vulnerable
vulnérables,
population,
dans
in an
vingtaine
area of about
qui,
six
régions
regions of
Maroc
Morocco:
oriental,
Oriental, Fes Meknes, Beni Melika, Souss Massa, Marrakech Safi,
et
and Tefret. We
on est
went
descendu
on the
sur le
field
terrain
with
avec des
the
équipes,
teams, and
et on
we
est allé
went
voir
to
les
see the
populations avec
population
une
in an
démarche,
approach which is quite
assez,
informal
informelle
for
de questions
discussion and
de
open
verbe,
discussion and
avec
dialogue,
avec
with
une
the very
question
simple
assez simple qui
question,
était:
which is
pour
for
vous,
you, what
c'est quoi
is the
l'impact du
impact of
changement
climate
climatique?
change? What do
Qu'est-ce que
you
vous
do
faites au
daily
quotidien face
in,
à ces impacts que vous vivez?
about these climate
Et
changes that you're
qu'est-ce qu'il faudrait
experiencing,
faire?
and what
Qu'est-ce qui pourrait être
should be done,
priorisé
what should be the priority
de manière
in
à
order to
améliorer ce
improve
traitement
this
au quotidien? C'était
these
trois
daily
questions
practices.
extrêmement
These
simples
were
sur lesquelles nous avons
very
travaillé
simple questions that
avec les
we worked
populations à
on with the
travers
population,
des
with
entretiens
individual
individuels, à travers
surveys,
des
focus
focus
groups
groups sur les
on
six
the
régions
6 regions that are part of
cités au début.
this.
Bien
Of
entendu,
course,
derrière, il y
behind
a
this,
une
we have a
consolidation, une
consolidation and
analyse
analysis
de ces
of
retours,
this
et nous
feedback,
avons ensuite été
and
revenus vers ces populations pour leur présenter
to
un peu
present
les
the
résultats
results
consolidés
the consolidated
de ces
results
studies
of these
avec eux,
studies
la
with
compréhension
our
de leurs
own
situations et notre
understanding and
analyse
analysis of
de
their
leurs problématiques.
problems.
Qu'est-ce
What
qu'il en est
came out of
sorti?
this?
Attendez, restons sur le slide précédent, s'il vous plaît.
What
Qu'est-ce
came
qu'il en
out
est
of
sorti?
this? What
Il en est
came out
sorti
is that
des enjeux
the main
principaux
stakes for
pour ces
these
populations-là
vulnerable
concernant le développement
populations
durable
for
étaient les suivants.
sustainable development were,
Tout
first,
d'abord,
they
ils ont
have
un
a
sentiment
feeling that that
ces enjeux
the
climatiques nécessitent une
impacts or the
transformation
stakes of
de
climate
l'économie
change
rurale
calls for
du pays,
transformation of
qui génère
rural
beaucoup
economy
d'incertitudes.
that generates a
Il y a un
lot of
manque de
lack of
visibilité
certainty for
sur,
them. There's a lack
sur
of
les changements
visibility
à opérer,
about the changes
malgré
that
le fait
need
qu'ils
to
ont
be
bien
done,
conscience de
even
la
though they
nécessité de
are
faire.
aware of the necessity or the need for these
Le
changes.
deuxième
The
élément
second important
important, ça a été
element, and
et
here
vous le
we
savez,
know this,
au
that in
Maroc
Morocco,
mieux que quiconque,
better than
la
anyone,
question
which
du
is
très faible
the
niveau, la gestion de
water
l'eau.
management, the scarcity of water. The
Les
population,
populations
vulnerable
vulnérables de
population
ces
in these
régions-là
areas
ont une
are very
sensibilité très
sensitive
forte
to the
au
subject
sujet
of
de la
water
gestion de l'eau
management for
pour des
regions,
raisons,
as we
comme on l'a dit,
said, that
d'electricité
are
et des
related to
difficultés
water
d'accès à
scarcity
une
and
eau
access
et
to
un flux
water
d'eau
and
potable,
drinkable water in
très saine.
particular.
Ça,
This, these
ces
two
deux
elements
éléments-là, ils ont
had
eu
mm,
plusieurs. Alors, ces deux éléments-là, ça s'ajoute une dimension, on va dire, un peu plus
there's
psychologique,
another
une autre
dimension that
dimension
is added to these two
de contrôle
elements,
du
which
changement
is
climatique.
the understanding of
C'est des
climate
populations qui
change. This
ne
population,
font pas
these are populations
vraiment
that are not
d'analyse sur les
doing
émissions de gaz à effet
analysis
de
on
serre, elles ne
greenhouse
lisent
effect
pas les rapports du
gases. They're
GIEC,
not
elles ne se
reading the
posent pas la
GIEC
question
report. They're not, don't ask
de
themselves
l'impact de
questions
leurs
about the
activités au
impact of their
quotidien, de
activity,
l'empreinte carbone
the
de leurs activités
carbon
au quotidien. Et
footprint of their
effectivement,
daily activities,
cette
and this
réalité du changement
reality of
climatique,
the climate
qu'elle
change that they
soit
see
dans
in
leur,
their
dans
own
leur
environment,
environnement,
that
qu'elle
they
soit
see
au fil
throughout the
des années et
years
au
and
fil
the
des générations,
generations
au
and the
fil des
days.
jours. Euh,
The
L'origine
origin
est
is
un peu confuse et
actually
donc génère un certain nombre
quite confused,
d'idées,
and this generates a number of
parfois
ideas
fausses,
that
parfois
are
pas forcément
sometimes
de la
wrong or not that relevant about the causes. But in particular, it generates two elements. It generates a trust that is in institutions that is being wasted or weakening, and because people feel that they are abandoned by institutions. And on the other side, there's also an extremely strong expectations from these institutions to be the leaders in this climate change. The other element that appeared is that there is a perception of strong responsibility of the corporate world of large enterprises in this climate change. And this is a reality, actually, we see even at the international level. This is a reality that they are not able to justify or present, but this is a perception, and somehow there is feeling of injustice here. And the last element that came from this study is that all these vulnerable population uh, feel and see and direct economic and social and health-wise impact really related to climate change and the negative impact on sustainable development. So I wanted to share with you the first element of consultation of the study that we did, because it's quite interesting in the way we approach subjects and the perception of these priorities. Of course, this is a study on 6 regions only, on a restricted sample, but still it makes it possible to have a certain visibility of priorities and subjects. The second element I'd like to talk about here is the work that was done, which is actually one of our target issues here, which it was recently, let's say, recognized through the publication of the law 1518 about participatory financing. This law for participatory financing, for those who do not know what it is about, it's about all the investment modalities for the private sector, and in particular individuals, through mechanisms for participatory financing, which we call crowdfunding. This exists. It has been existing for a long time, and if you don't know this, you can visit the website of Happy Smala, and we have been publishing a uh, a survey about the crowdfunding on the different subjects for 2 years now, and you can check it. These are platforms on the internet where people who have projects, they can present their projects and their needs in terms of funding, and these platforms will allow people everywhere in the world either to give money to these projects to support them, or loan money with interest rates that are relatively low interest rates, or risk the taking that is relatively low, or to be a to take participation in terms of equity, so that they are the shareholders in these companies, or which is most often the case for startups or very small enterprises. What are the benefits of these digital channels, which are today available in Morocco? And this is not a secret that there are a lot of projects for such platforms that are in the process of receiving these licenses for this activity, and we will soon have an ecosystem for participatory finance. And I think this is an important partner for microfinance institutions. What do these digital tools allow in terms of
La
participatory
première chose,
financing.
ça permet de
But
faire
first,
un
they
test
allow
métier
you
à
to
moindre
do a
coût.
market
Vous avez
test
un jeune
at
entrepreneur
smaller
qui veut se
cost.
lancer
For
dans
example,
la
you have a young
conception de
entrepreneur who
paniers
wants to
en
make
osier avec des
baskets with
designs
the
un peu
designs that are
particuliers.
a bit
Il
special.
peut, à
They
travers
can,
cette
through this
plateforme, en
platform, by
choisissant
introducing
un
it to
guide
a
connecté
connected
qui sera
audience, which are
concurrencé à
a
venir
potential
à
market
l'échelle
for
nationale et à l'échelle
their
internationale,
project at
voir
the
si son
national and
produit
international
attire,
scale. They
intéresse
can see if this
la
project
clientèle.
can be
Le
interesting or
deuxième
attractive
élément,
to
c'est que
clients. The
ce
second
test
element is that
marché, il n'est pas
this market
simplement
test is
réalisé
not
avec
just
la
done with
famille au
the
village ou au
family or
marché
village
local.
or
Il
local
est
market.
réalisé à
It's
travers
done
une
through
plateforme
an
internet
internet
qui donne accès
platform,
à la fois à tous les
which
internautes du pays, mais
gives
aussi à tous
access
les
to
internautes
all internet users
internationaux.
in the country, but also in the world.
Et donc, ça
And
permet une
so
ouverture un
this
peu plus
allows for
commerciale parce que l'on peut
international
voir si
opening to
potentiellement
international
un
market
projet,
and
même
see even
au fin fond
for projects
de
even
la
at
région Beni
for
Mellal,
projects
a
at,
eu un
at the
potentiel
end of
international important
the back of the area of Beni Mellal to
pour la
see if you
suite.
have
Le
important
deuxième, la deuxième,
international
le
potential.
deuxième
The
intérêt
second,
qu'il y a,
On
oui,
a, on a, on a encore 20 minutes
vous avez
we
du
still
temps.
have 20
on a
minutes, and
des
I can see we
questions
have questions for the
spécifiques
discussion.
encore.
So
Alors,
if you could
Ok,
please move on a bit faster.
merci.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Donc, le
So the
deuxième
second
élément important, c'est que
important element is
ce
that
sont des
these
nouveaux
are
produits
new
financiers qui
financing
viennent en
projects that
complémentarité des
complete
produits existants, en
existing
particulier des produits
products
traditionnels.
such as
Le troisième
microfinance.
élément, c'est que
The
le fait que chaque porteur de
the
projet soit libre de
entrepreneur
mener sa
has to
campagne et
do
de
their own
présenter son
campaign and
produit,
present
de
their
gérer ses
product,
interactions
to do
avec le
their
marché
campaign with the
international,
national market
avec
with
des outils, des outils
technological
technologiques.
tools.
Ça
This is a
teste un peu la
test for
durabilité,
the
la
sustainability, the
solidité de l'entrepreneur, son
solidity,
motivation
the robustness of the
et ça
enterprise,
permet
and
de dérisquer
this allows
un certain
to
nombre de projets.
de-risk some
Vous avez une question
projects.
suivante? Ce crowdfunding,
Crowdfunding
il
is
est intéressant
interesting
parce qu'il
because it
vient combler quelque part
fulfills
la
a
valeur de
gap
la
of the
mort de
death
l'entrepreneur,
value of
c'est-à-dire celui qui
for
va
the
entre
entrepreneurs, which
j'ai
I
financé avec
started with
mon
whatever I
argent et
had, and
celle
then
qui
I
commence
am
à
starting
accéder
to have
aux
access
produits
to finance
de financement, en
products
particulier
through
à travers la
microfinance
microfinance.
specifically.
Ce qui est
Which what's
intéressant pour les
interesting here
institutions de
for
microfinance,
microfinance
c'est que
institutions
fournit
is that
ces éléments de
these
crowdfunding
my
sont digitaux et donc ça
crowdfunding
comporte
is a
énormément de
digital
données
tool and it allows
sur
for a lot of data
l'entrepreneur,
regarding the
sur
entrepreneur, their
son
success,
succès, sur le
the
nombre de
number of
personnes qui l'ont
person that
suivi, sur sa
followed them,
capacité de gérer
the
une
capacity
campagne, une
to
campagne
manage a
avec les personnes.
campaign,
Donc ça,
interact with
ce sont des
others,
données
and
non
to,
financières
these
qui
are
sont
not
extrêmement
financial
demandées
data,
sur les
but they
jeunes
are often
entrepreneurs. Et
lacking
donc ce
on
test
the new
permet aux
projects,
institutions de
and
microfinance
this
de
allows
s'engager
microfinance
avec des personnes,
institutions
même si
to
elles n'ont pas
commit and engage
d'expérience
with these people,
ou
even though they do not
d'expertise
have any
suffisante
background or
ou
history, or they're
enregistrée.
not registered yet. The
Le
third
troisième
element
élément
I would
dont je
like
veux
to
vous
talk
parler,
about is
c'est justement
the
la
national
stratégie nationale et
strategy
justement le
and the
contexte marocain en
Moroccan
règle
context
générale, particulièrement relatif à
about the
l'investissement et
impact
l'impact.
of investment.
Le Maroc
Morocco
s'est engagé
committed
à soutenir
on three
trois niveaux
levels
les objectifs de
on
développement durable,
sustainable development
le programme des Nations
objectives of the
Unies, l'accord de
UN,
Paris
the
qui a permis de
Paris
définir
Agreement,
l'engagement
which allowed
climatique,
for
c'est-à-dire grosso modo l'engagement de
basically
réduction
the
des gaz à effet
concept
de
of
serre du
reducing
Maroc jusqu'à
the
2030
MDCs, what we
et
call the
l'accord de Kunming en
MDCs, and the
Montréal
Montreal
consacré à la
Agreement.
protection de la biodiversité. Ces trois accords-là, qui sont des accords internationaux, ils se sont
These
inscrits au Maroc.
projects or
On l'a vu
these
sur l'accord
are
marocain qui date pour le
linked
coup
to
avant
Morocco. They
les
are linked
objectifs
to
de
sustainable
développement durable à l'époque
development
où
objectives.
c'était
These
les objectifs
what
du millénaire.
the time when they were
Mais
called the Millennium Goals, but
plus
most
récemment, sur le
recently
nouveau
on the
mécanisme de
new
développement qui a été
development model that
signé
was published
et
and
demandé par le
requested
Royal,
by the royal
la stratégie
instructions,
nationale de
the
développement durable qui est
national
extrêmement
sustainable
intéressante
development
justement pour les institutions de
in
microfinance pour voir quels sont les sujets de finance verte qui
institution
sont
to
aujourd'hui
see
une
what
priorité
are
au niveau
the
national. Bien
priority
entendu, la
projects, the
stratégie nationale
national
de politique
projects,
foncière qui est
and
disponible sur le
also the
site de la BAM
strategy that
et un
is
certain nombre d'autres
available on
instruments.
other national frameworks.
Qu'est-ce qu'il
What
faut retenir? C'est que
should
grosso
we
modo, il y
keep
a un
in
certain
mind
nombre
is that there
de
are
programmes nationaux
many
qui sont mis
projects
en
that
place. Je
programs
veux
that
par
are being
exemple
put in place. I'm talking here about
RED par exemple
Innovinvest
ou
or
le
Forza,
Forza.
and these
Ces
national
programmes nationaux,
programs
ils sont
are
agnostiques à l'impact.
agnostic to impact,
Mais
but
cependant,
they
ils sont
are
extrêmement
still
structurants
highly
pour l'économie
structuring
verte.
for
Le
green
deuxième
economy.
élément,
The
c'est
second
qu'on a
element
des
is that we
investisseurs
have
privés qui sont en
a lot
quête
of private
d'opportunités
investors that
d'investissement et donc
are
les institutions de
looking
microfinance doivent
for
devenir une force
green
de
investment which can become a door to benefit from a partnership with these private investors, with the emergence of funds with high impact funds. And this also these high impact funds are very limited, but they are emerging in Morocco. Quickly here to tell you that happy Ismaila to say that we are putting in place a high impact program which includes several elements. The putting in place of a dedicated fund where the integration of green economy based on institutions with institutions of microfinance with financial support and on economic economy, social economy, which can be adapted to microfinance clients, support of the creation of innovative investment schemes. And here we'll be working with partners to put the green economy and microfinance in place, and also to develop a platform and also promote investment on high impact investment. And here, one last point, we are holding on 31st of October to 1st of November in Casablanca an event on this high impact event where we will be presenting the panorama of microfunding and the overview and discuss what is coming for the coming years and the impact in Morocco. And I invite all the audience, all the people who are active on the financial inclusion subject and green finance, and to come join us by scanning the code or by accessing to the form through the link that will be shared in the comments. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry, Natalia. Maybe quickly, if
What we need to remember from our works, here are the four most important points. First of all, the challenges of adaptation to the climate for this, that assessment for this, with that and this current shocks, and to put in place this. So this it's a priority. There's a priority for survival. So collaborative or crowdfunding, it can be used as a tool for strengthening the capacity and test markets, both for green projects, but generally for financial institutions. The development of new markets and products can be, designed around an ecosystem. So with additional vistas, for this, start to work with the other actors, with startups, for example, and impact investors or associations of investors, or of course with the organizations such as the Mohammed VI Center. And certainly the dialogue with impact investors must allow us to increase the upstream capacities, because of microfinance institutions can exchange together. So the impact investors will have a lot less difficulty identifying opportunities for this, and thus to release funds and to support the development of these populations in addition to the relay of microfinance institutions. Thank you. Thank you, Pierre. We're also very interested. So for this, for this, on this conclusion, and also of the work of the microfinance institutions. So thank you, Pierre, for this presentation, also to show your work and the assistance of the sectors to, the invitation to your event in Casablanca. So, Mr. Mosten, we are coming to the end of the webinar. But with your expertise and your work in the sector, also, we're very interested in hearing your recommendations. And I will share here, Pierre, your email. You can also write it in the chat. Mr. Mustan, you are welcome. We have 10 minutes, but I hope we can discuss the questions in the commentary. Thank you very much, Natalia. Thank you. to Haidara and the Saned and the Mohammed VI Center for this opportunity. I'm happy to share with the participants here my experience in green microfinance in Morocco. First of all, I am, Mr. Mahdi Mohammed Musatin, so director of Jamila. So it's an institution that was created. It's the newest baby of microfinance in Morocco. It's an association that was created in 2011. So shortly after the crisis of microfinance that finance that Morocco went through in 2009, 2010. So what does it mean? It means that the creators of Bebris Jamil took brave decisions to create a microfinance institutions, although the sector was in crisis. So currently, we are about 10, the staff with a few thousand clients. So it is what we would refer to as a small scale institutions, but we have a very ambitious development plan, which is to cover all the national territory by 2028, God willing. The specificity of this compared to the rest of the microfinance sectors is since 2021, so just after the second crisis of the microfinance sector in Morocco and around the world, the crisis caused by the COVID pandemic in the COVID-19. So the institution changed its business model by operating with new physical branches. So currently we work what we call what's a hybrid model, which is a half a digital and half a way uh, for in person, but it's with our staff on the ground or visiting, but we do not have an offices per se. So as we cannot digitalize all our processes because it's based on client contacts. We still wanted to preserve our proximity to our clients. We took this opportunity of this new model, new business models. To do this all the processes. And we took this opportunity to integrate this environmental aspect in all processes and the processes of the institution. We just validated the quality policy of the institutions, which is inspired from the client protection principles of microfinance. We have a short test regarding green microfinance, but it has just only started. I'm not going to take much time on this. It's a product of the financing of agriculture. This with a solar pumping and efficient watering. So we need to twin the two. So with either solar energy and efficient irrigation, otherwise it will have a negative effect on the water table. On the other hand, while waiting, as I said, we have, we have financial product or green finance products. So I will give an overview on our, participants on the specificities of the microfinance sector in Morocco, which I personally qualify as strong points of this is promoting inclusive and sustainable microfinance. First of all, is that all actors up until, until further do is are this. So it's all decided by the members of the board of these, even the Mohammed VI centers that presented earlier, their works, they're structured as an NGO, and this strengthens the social aspect and the environmental interest of the owners, shall we say, or the members of the board and the general assemblies of these institutions. It's a mature sector. It's over 20 years old. It has gone through at least two major crises, the 2008 and 9 and 10 after the cross, the debt of clients and the crisis of the pandemic of COVID-19, and also a regional also crisis for this. So, so the sector has shown a increased resilience. So So with all these crises, and it's also a strong ingredient that can promote this. So for this, the sustainable microfinance. So for this, the actors are amongst the biggest actors of microfinance in the world, and the microfinance sector in Morocco is considered as a leader in the MENA region, and also so this so and this for the through the urban development we have a better division. We have maybe 50% rural, 50% urban, and same thing for the repartition, but gender 50-50. So and one the specificities of the sector that promote the development of microfinance, but also the Moroccan context, such as as noticed by by Mr. So they signed the agreements for the Paris Agreement, the SDG, the agreement on the SDGs.
Le Maroc est très connu actuellement par le développement des énergies renouvelables. Les exemples
So,
des stations
the stations and where's the Z and the station are only examples of these. So we have the geographical position of Morocco that currently ranks us as countries at high risk from climate change. And that when we say climate change for this, for the risk of investment in technology, resilience technologies for to climate change. Another context amongst the favorable points of the sector is most microfinance institutions in Morocco have the will to contribute to the environment and to increase the sustainability of the activities of companies, or as has been shown by the Senate study and other previous studies or surveys that were carried out in this field. There's also the willingness of all stakeholders other than the MFIs. There are donors who have expressed in their activity reports that they have dedicated lines of credit for green finance in Morocco. So just the Mohammed VI Center for to see their contribution in training, the Ministry of Economy and Finance, which has supervised, which is a study on the development of green microfinance for certain AMCs. There's also the central bank for this. So that was they published in March 2021 a study on climate risks and the risks linked to the environment. So this was these are the ingredients for the development of a green microfinance in Morocco, but by the sector and also through the national context. So for as you know, so the green microfinance has two main objectives. First of all, is the preservation of ecosystems, and the second one is to increase the resilience and the financing of client activities to increase resilience. Mr. Zachariah Bouri, when he spoke about major risks that the clients of microfinance clients face, which is a drought and the lack of rainfall, the scarcity of rainfall. It's this is the risk that is currently becoming in Morocco a structural problem, and it's a hidden phase. There's an opportunity for the development of everything that's related to green technology for for water management. The studies that have been carried out in this Morocco and the potential of microfinance. So next slide, please, has shown that Morocco has a huge potential for everything related to green credits. And, you know, there are 4 or 5 main subjects that were identified regarding renewable energies. I will mention solar and wind energy and biogas, everything regarding water management. Today, everybody is talking. And the 2 previous presentations spoke about this major structural problem in Morocco, which is the matter of water management, also waste management for everything related to sorting, recycling, and reuse. It's you know, potential fund for the development of green microfinance in Morocco. There's a strong potential on also sustainable housing for also regarding sustainable sanitation, especially in rural areas. And I only mentioned here the only the Morocco mentioned that Moroccan microfinance sector is working both on the urban and rural environment. In the rural environment, there's a huge potential for green loans to improve the living condition of populations there. So this so for this currently with the earthquake of the Great Atlas, also there's a potential on the housing, sustainable housing. So this opportunity for this can be so. There's also the studies have shown that there is a strong request for the clients on everything so everything related to environment, the management of waste. For this is a priority sector for this that can do awareness on these themes, and there is also the awareness on the production cycles. And currently, most production cycles of income generating revenue activities are funded by microfinance. The funding here so requires awareness raising and training on the greening of production. So this from the provision of this to all the way to the recycling of the products themselves. So regarding the challenges for microfinance today in Morocco, we can mention, amongst other things, first of all, is everything related to the management of knowledge and of adequate technologies. Also, when we talk to the farmers currently or the users of technology, of conventional or old technologies, when we talk to them about or environmentally damaging technologies, most are ready to change these techniques, but on the other hand, there must be adequate technologies for them to use and a technology that is accessible to the clients, you know, especially the accessible for them financially as clients. That's the need for the microfinance institutions to develop inclusive financial products, green financial products that meet or this need can fulfill this need, the need to have technologies, new technologies and adequate technologies, and also financial inclusive green financial services that can to finance the knowledge of financing patents and labels and everything regarding the management of knowledge. I will conclude my presentation with a few recommendations, the recommendations that go tend towards the AMFs, some for the donors and regulator, and last regular, you know, recommendation for the CMS in Morocco. So for the Moroccan IMF will win from formalizing the best practices in terms of so most of the Moroccan microfinance institutions have good practices in terms of management ecosystem, but the problem we find generally, these practices are not formalized in any document. And could win from drafting green strategies for those who have not yet prepared the green strategies. The donors we have seen now here, a remarkable experience is that the duet between Sanad and Tadam, maybe not, why not think about working on another, a duet between donors, IMC, and other donors and other IMCs, while, taking inspiration from the model or the inspiration given between Tadam and Sanad. For the regulators, we'd like to insist on a regulation based on incentives for green microfinances. And for the Mohammed VI Center, I think they have put in place training and awareness programs for the clients, microfinance clients, on best practices in terms of protection of the environment and resilience in light of the climate change. So here's once again, thank you again. Thanks to Saned Hedera and the Mohammed VI Center for this opportunity. Thank you very much. And I hope that these recommendations are, perceived. So we can see that the leadership of Morocco on this theme of green finance and also the works, and also the work of the central bank. That we so we the will we see Mohammed VI Center's will. It's also so for this and awareness for this, that the clientele through an external center for for microfinance association.
But as an association and for the aspects that the scope that you have in the country and the institutions, I think it can work with the support and the work of organizations such as Happy Smala. So thank you again, once again. Here you have the contacts of Mr. Hamoumustan. When we have received questions, I think we can, if this can work for everyone, we can answer the first one from Mrs. Siam Swan. If we could organize, define a strategy, environmental strategy for the implementation of environmental strategy for an MFI. I think with the experience of Atadamun and your if Mr. Hussein, if you could share some advice maybe with Mrs. Suat. Who would like to answer the question of Mrs. Siham? Mr. Zakaria? Yes. This is quite a responsibility if I were to give you some recommendations. But in terms of environmental transition for the whole, we need to review the whole procedures, the strategies, the funding structure, but the risk management with the new mapping of risk and call on experts. This is the recommendation I would give. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zakaria. Thank you also for the trust in experts to lead your institutions. Could I add something about this question, please? First, Pierre, can you wait? We give the floor to Mr. Mustain first. Could we define a well-defined process for the implementation of environmental strategy for an MFI? Yes. And I think that the basic tool would be a survey on a green index that allows the MFI to see what
ces
are the
échéanciers
current
ponctuels, qu'est-ce qu'il faut
progress
pour
and
structurer
what needs
et
to be
qu'est-ce qu'il
structured
faut
and what needs
pour
to be done
avancer
to
et
go
faire vite.
forward.
C'est-à-dire,
Meaning,
personnellement,
personally, I
je recommande
recommend
un
an
audit
audit
par
to
l'outil
the MEPI
MEPI qui est
tool, which
désigné
is
actuellement
now to
Green
become the
Index
green index
pour
for
la
the
mise en place d'une
implementation of
stratégie
an
de gouvernance
environmental
du numérique.
strategy, GNF.
Merci.
Thank you.
Moi,
I
je suis
agree with
d'accord.
you.
Le
The
Green
green
Index peut
index
aider
can
à
help
définir les
define
actions,
actions, but
mais
also
comme Centre
as
Mohamed
like the
VI a
as it was
présenté, il y
presented
a
by the
des
Mohammed
éléments
VI
qui aident les
Center.
institutions
There are
la
different things that need
responsabilité,
to be
services,
looked
la
at,
stratégie,
responsibility, services, strategy,
l'environnement
and
aussi, les
also
services
financial
nécessaires pour
services.
offrir. Pierre,
Pierre,
s'il vous plaît.
please. Me, I agree with my colleagues on the subject that, yes, indeed, there is a framework and there are a lot of references on the subject. And the latest, probably, and most relevant is I would take one step back and say if we wanted to define 4 progressive steps, the first one would be, and which is really interesting in terms of human resources within an MFI, is to do an environmental risk assessment of its internal activities. This enables you to really understand how we operate and what is the environmental risk, what are the different my dimensions on the climate aspect, biodiversity, waste management, etc. You know, clean in front of your doorstep before you go do it on people's doorsteps. And then again, do risk management within your client portfolio during the process, the granting process, but also look at the stock and what are the renewals going on and what are the activities that we are funding and financing here and their impact on the environment. The third point, once we have done this audit of the client portfolio, is to define a system or a mechanism to support your clients to transition to more eco-friendly activities. And it's not necessarily the responsibility of the MFI to have this internal knowledge. And this is why the meaning the ecosystems and partnerships have even more importance. And then fourth, we take the practical elements that were tested and implemented and consolidate them in a structured, formalized environmental strategy in terms of governance with the indicators and more of a long-term vision. So once again, what matters most in the climate environmental action in the coming years, it will be to do things and to do things quickly. And first, to improve yourselves, and then improve the whole ecosystem and client portfolio quickly and in a pragmatic manner. And this will be my last word.
Merci Pierre. Et je voudrais
And
ajouter
I would
le
like to
développement des
add
capacités,
capacity
le développement
reinforcement,
des ressources
capacity resource
dans les
development within
institutions.
the institution.
Et comme ça,
And this allows us to have
l'équipe,
a
on est
team, a
responsable
manager,
j'espère, Pierre. Des objectifs de
objectives that
responsables
are managers and a plan.
On va faire cette année, on va faire
Will
le
do
rapport.
reports,
C'est
this,
pour
whether it's public or not, and
répondre cet objectif
answer
à les
this
défis environnementaux et risques
and
qu'on a
provide the reports
identifiés.
to the public about
Madame
this,
Khadija.
what the issues that
Bon,
the risks
alors
that
moi,
we
je voudrais
identify.
juste
I would like
signaler
to
que
say
pour
that
notre
in
PMT
our PMT
2024-2026,
for 2024-2026, the
la
dimension
dimension
of sustainable
redéploiement des
development
compétences
and
vertes
green finance
correspond
that
partie
presents a large share
justement
in
de notre
compliance with our
expérimentation, à
mission,
savoir
which is to
l'appui
provide
technique
technical
et puis
support
donc
and also
l'appui par la
training
formation,
support
notamment
for the
des
new
notions
dimensions and
des principes
principles,
donc
the new
des nouvelles normes
norms for
de la performance
social
sociale et
environmental
des
performance,
corporations
at the head office in Gaza, but also throughout Morocco, was just like we did for the protection of clients during the SMART campaign and also for the social performance, universal performance. This is on the learning aspect, the technical support, of course, in collaboration with its partners, current and future, and of course, which I hope Sanad and EDA will be part of these, because what is at stake is important here, meaning there are risks and I hope that MFIs and our organizations will benefit from technical support, and the Center Mohammed VI will play a role to support its population. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hadija. Well noted. Duly noted. In terms of your request, we'll discuss what can be done. We'll discuss in Lome. I hope we'll have some time to discuss this. Yes. There is a question from Thank you, Mr. Zakaria, for this consistent presentation. My questions are as follows. Do you have specific product planned for the new niches that you are going to work on, breeding, agriculture, etc.? And with regard to credit risk, have you set a maximum level of risk above which the MFI would have to revise its objectives in relation to the allocation of the portfolio? All right. So as we said, in terms of this goes beyond the elaboration of microfinance products. Yes, these are activities that require specific microfinance products in terms of loan and follow-up, etc. But the objective is to develop products for the whole ecosystem. We have products that are adapted to green agriculture, but we aim to have products dedicated to the whole value chain. And for the other part, I think I'll let Mr. Pierre complete this because he has better knowledge of this, because the conventional approach was to limit exposure to this type of risks, but in our strategic project, we decided to target 20%, but by putting in place a logical and pragmatic risk management framework for exposure, but still 20% is still an important level of exposure, and this needs to be supported through a mapping adequately. And I'll give the floor to Pierre to continue here. Yes, thank you. Actually, most institutions already have a risk mapping, whether there's detailed or more generic. What we need to keep in mind is that climate change and risk about this for adaptation, whether it's the physical impact of changes on the activities of our clients and our own activities. If you have offices in flooding areas, etc., this is a physical, material climate risk that will impact and will catalyze the more operational risks. So what you need to keep in mind is that where climate change, environmental risk is becomes very important and important to manage. It's cross-cutting on all subjects about risk that you have, whether it's commercial risk or strategic risk, financial risks, operational risks, of course. And the best thing to do here is to first look at the material risk related to main threats as presented by Atadamon in the way they put in place the methodology, and then ask yourself about your strategy, your vision, on commercial development and ask yourself, is my finance portfolio, for example, if plastic baskets from imported from Dubai, do I continue on this, or do I try to invest on an entrepreneur who makes natural baskets in my close neighborhood? So these are the transition risks, and this comes from the fact that we will have a need to change our economic models, whether it's voluntary or enforced by climate or regulations. And we need to anticipate this in order to be able to ensure the sustainability of our.
Thank you, Pierre. So very quickly and very shortly, the last question from Leila Ouled. So it's a question on of climate finance after our credits. So for energy efficiency, so how was the cash flow of the investment calculated? So, Mr. Mustaine or Pierre? I can share with you. So I have seen microfinance institutions that first of all do a study of needs, assessment. What are the needs for cost and energy and electricity for the clients, and then they study the energy efficiency technologies and see what is the cost of what percentage in the basket of the households for the use of the steam, but also with the training, with the civilization for the of not to use the technologies mostly because it was more efficient. So to be aware and to be doing use between people. So on this, to have the cost for the institutions. So and this for that with the conventional system. Then we can do an assessment on credit, cash flow, and savings. If I can complete. So this is these technologies are these energy technologies. If we look at everything that's solar and wind and the connected, systems, that we're talking about this to be implemented with an efficiency system for this. All these mechanisms are often generate data, and this data allows us to improve the calibration of the pricing and cash flow, etc. So it also allows us to imagine new models of products. We don't have to do like conventional products. I'll give you an example that I liked a lot. It's an institutions. So it's a revenue-based loan. So it's more or less so you trade. You take the money for you loan the money for the purchase of the solar, equipment, this solar equipment with a pay-as-you-go meter that allows you to fill to top up the account of the user only for the energy that they need, and with the required the available amount. And with the amount paid by the user, there's a micro fraction that is sent in nearly automatically as a repayment for the loan. So at one point in time, the more they use and the more they repay. So if there's a one point in time for seasonality or a hard situation, then the repayment is reduced. But you're risking yeah, yeah, but repayment is automatic on the reuse of the machine. So this type of innovation can be implemented and they can be explored for this. And this is what's going to be allowed in the next few years in the use of a useful digital world for the inclusive. We have received another question from Ali Nasaf had. Thank you very much. But the interpreters, we have already exceeded the allocated time. If it's very quick to answer, in 2 words, if you can answer this on this question. Okay, so afterwards, yes, you can read the question. Yes, how to address the voices that are being raised in developed countries that consider it unfair to have, or that say that it's unfair to have to change their economic models. Economic models simply because the countries in the north have polluted more. This is the climate debt. That's what it's called for this at the international level today, including here, in fact, in Marrakesh. So, I am gonna not I do not represent a specific country. I'm not representative of the north. I was born in one place and I've been living in many other places. I live currently in Colombia. I spent 3 years in Morocco, 10 years in the DRC, 5 years in Cameroon. I'm not sure if I am specifically or so, especially European, but it's not just that. I can share something here is for me that and when we say change the development model and see in many countries, there's still no development model. This is why we often call them the developing countries, but maybe unkind, but we're not asking them to stop building roads or schools. In fact, we say is the climate does not ask them to stop building roads or schools. So it requires that they just it's just a unique opportunity, in fact, that if for each country to reimagine sustainable economic models, the methods for management of knowledge, of culture, of interaction, of building, of urban planning and investment on this or that expertise. Once again, I'm a great supporter of low tech, of things that practical things and simple that function quite well and that everybody has access to. Because at the end of the day, up until now, we said we had to have a nuclear plants and super fast trains and the coal mines and big trucks to be a developing country. And today it's the countries that have this are now having difficulties to achieve their transition. The countries that have none of these have all latitude to invent what will be the works and the roads and the factories and the sharing methods for tomorrow. So for me, that's the answer. It is unfair, yes. Climate unfairness is in the fact that everybody is suffering from climate change while the origins come from the 200 years or because of the industrialization of this side, the north. But maybe is it unfair to try to develop a specific development model, up until now? Up until recently, we have never asked the question of can we develop something else? Sorry, it's the subject that's very dear to me.
Nathalie,
So it was very difficult. It's not an easy question, but
Nathalie,
yes.
est-ce que je peux juste
Can I
ajouter un
add a
petit
little
élément par
something?
rapport
Yeah, a
à
tiny one.
un
Yes,
petit
go
élément
ahead.
par rapport
On
par
what
rapport à ce que
when
vient de
we
dire
spoke
le
about
développement
energy
du
efficiency funding, Mr. Pierre shared
l'expérience au
the
niveau
experience of an IMF, which is Canadian, but
Au
in
niveau du
Morocco
Maroc aussi,
also,
il y a des
there are
institutions
institutions
qui ont
that
développé
have
des
developed
projets
energy efficiency
énergétiques
projects
qui
that
permettent
allow us,
justement de
the
réduire cette
clients
facture
to
énergétique de
reduce
cette
their
façon qu'ils
energy
sont
bill
réduits
by
de
50%.
40%.
And with a 50% saved on their energy bill, they can easily repay their loans. Yes, so it works.
Exactement, c'est ça.
Where can I sign, basically? I'd like to have that, yes. But to answer very clearly this, the series of webinar is it's to raise awareness, on the importance of this theme, on the role of financial institutions and also central banks and all the stakeholders. And this is why I would really like to thank our panelists, our co-organizers, and the Senate Technical Assistance Facility that plans to have more trainings and to share experiences with microfinance solutions and institutions and consultants and investors in the region. And I'd like to invite you to the next session next week on the 18th of October for Lebanon. It's during the African Microfinance Week, but for the actors in the region, we're going to see this webinar, this. So it'll be 10 o'clock Paris, Berlin time, on the 18th. You're all welcome. And as for today, thank you to our co-panelists. Thank you to the Mohammed VI Center for Solidarity, Work Finance, and Madam Sayed, Mrs. Hantali. And yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tusa. And Mr. Mustan, thank you very much. Thank you.
Merci à vous.
Thank you also to my Hedra, to the Sustainable Solutions team who worked hard to hold this webinar today. And thank you to the interpreters. Thank you for your work and for your patience and staying with us to allow participants from all the regions to listen to and to follow the content of this webinar. Thank you to all. And I'd like to invite you to also follow the FinDev Gateway, FinDev Gateway, which is our media partner for communication on this event. Thank you. See you all next week. See you next week. It was a pleasure. And for the others, we'll see you all in Lomé.
Merci beaucoup.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
À bientôt, au revoir.
Merci aux participants avec les questions.